Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So overnight we got some more leaks for episodes 7 and 8, and what I'm going to be doing is splitting them into two videos and discussing them with you this Monday. So this video will be discussing the new photos that leaked overnight, and then the second video of 2 for today, which I'll be releasing later on tonight. We'll be discussing the new kind of plot and story elements that were kind of inadvertently released by the BBFC, which is basically a classification in terms of what rating they want to give to TV episodes and films. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into the video, and what I'm going to be doing is starting off with one particular leaked image, which is from episode 8 of this first season, and it is of course our first look at Lews Therin. Now obviously I cannot show you the images themselves, but what I have done is I have taken the liberty, after about 15 years of not doing any sort of drawing, I did a drawing myself of the photo, so I will leave that up on the screen for you all to have a look at right now, and then we can obviously discuss the photo and you can get a kind of understanding of what I'm speaking about. So what's really interesting to notice, obviously Lews Therin will be making an appearance in the 8th and final episode of this first season. Now of course, just straight away looking at his outfit, I would kind of surmise from it that we've got this kind of naturally futuristic looking outfit that he would be wearing, because as we all know, during his time period, his age, known as the Age of Legends, civilization was in a much more advanced and technological moment in time, by far and away kind of centuries and centuries, if not thousands of years more technologically advanced than the current age we are now in with the show and in the books. And so I think we're going to get kind of a much more kind of sci-fi feel with these kind of scenes we'll be getting. Now of course what these scenes will show us is really difficult to say. We could all say, for example, straight away we'll get the prologue from the Eye of the World book 1 for episode 8, but yes, that is something we could certainly be getting, and I would put a bit of money on that. But we don't have to kind of stop in terms of the speculation on just that particular portion of what we've already kind of read and seen and witnessed when it comes to the Age of Legends. There's so much more that they could be showing, because straight away, just looking at this image, and I know it's really difficult to take an image that is part of a much wider scene where we cannot really get a good understanding of what's going on, but for me, if this was the prologue, I wouldn't expect any still that is taken from that scene that they filmed to have Lews Therin looking this kind of calm and collected. I feel, as we all know, in the prologue, he's basically murdered his entire family, and then at the last minute before he ends up killing himself and creating Dragonmount, he essentially is allowed to kind of get his mind back, and the madness is kind of taken away from him just for a split second to see exactly what he'd done to his family. So if we're thinking this is what we're going to be getting, this image to me really doesn't spell out that particular moment in time. I could be completely wrong, but that's just what I feel, and just looking at this particular photo. It's really interesting because straight away on this image, and just looking at the kind of general outfit that we've got here, we can quite clearly kind of see that it's of a much nicer cloth and fabric, and just the general look and feel of the outfit that we can particularly see here, it does have that feel of it being very futuristic that we would obviously associate with the Age of Legends and Lews Therin. I also it's really hard to make out this kind of insignia or badge sort of thing that he's got on his right kind of chest. What it is, I really couldn't say. It's really hard to make out. I put the photo through kind of an AI enhancement program, which kind of clears up the image so I can get a better look at what it could potentially be. But even then, it's so hard to make out what it would be. You would think just him going off of him being the Dragon Reborn, it would have something to do with that. So I'm guessing maybe it's some sort of symbol or design to do with the dragon. That would be the best guess I could come up with. So yeah, I thought that was obviously the most interesting of the 4 images we've gotten. So yeah, I'm going to move on from there. Unfortunately, I haven't drawn the rest of the images, and so you're kind of just going to have to imagine what I'm describing to you. But what I'll do, of course, is put photos of the actor and actresses up on the screen, so you can just at least look at the actors themselves while I discuss the photos that I'm looking at. Up next, we've got a photo of Min. Now, Min is once again in this kind of what looks to be tavern or establishment of some kinds, because in the background you can see there's a chef, and they're kind of in the moment of preparing a meal of food for the guests. Min looks to be very much like we would expect her to look. She has that kind of very tomboyish look about her just from the way she's dressed and clothed, which is something was to be expected and to see. She looks to be in the middle of maybe getting some sort of meal or water or something prepared to give out to someone, but she's also kind of looking out into the distance. And so my first gut instinct here would be that Rand and whoever else accompanies Rand into this tavern, which would be the entire group, they pretty much have just walked in. And as we all know with her viewings, when she looks at people, I think this huge aura would no doubt have kind of walked through the door, would have caught her attention. And I think that's what this photo is kind of showcasing in this scene. They've all come through the door, and she can just start to see all these, as we all remember in the book series, all these sorts of viewings that she gets of images and everything, and she kind of has an inkling and understanding of what they mean for each individual. So I think we're getting that scene that we get in the books when they all come together in the inn where they first meet Min, because of course in the books Moraine knows Min and Min knows Moraine. And so that's really going to be interesting to see what we get from these scenes and how much of Min we're going to get. Because just kind of thinking of where we're going next in the series, we're going through the Rays and then we're going to get to Faldara. Now, is there going to be a kind of stopgap in between the Rays and Faldara, and this is where we meet Min, and then maybe Min comes along with the rest of the group on the journey to Faldara? It's really hard to tell. We really do not know where they're going to end up. So for example, they could make a number of changes in terms of what kind of exit, in terms of where the way gate is that they exit the Rays from. It might not necessarily be right outside Faldara. It could be because, as we know, it is pretty much that's the case in the book, and so maybe they'll stay true to that. But then this kind of scene with Min and where she is and what she looks to be doing, it doesn't have the feel of being inside Faldara. It looks to be outside Faldara, and from what we've seen of Faldara in the shots and clips we've gotten so far, it looks to almost just be a keep or like a fortress, and there doesn't seem to be any sorts of other buildings around it. So that makes me think perhaps there's a slight interlude and intermission in terms of where the group go before getting to Faldara once they've come out of the Ways. Moving along, we now have the final 2 images, and they kind of go hand in hand with one another because it's Lord Agelmar and of course his sister. We've seen Lord Agelmar in various kind of promotional traders. For example, we saw him in the trader very briefly when he was in his armor going for battle. This one, he's very much in his kind of throne room that we've seen an image of before. I can't remember if that was a leak or an official image that I can show you, but I think he's basically just receiving Moraine and the group for the first time in Lan, of course, and this is kind of their first meeting of him with him. So that's what I get from that. He's in this really cool, interesting outfit as well, where he looks to have, I would say maybe ravens, feathers, like around here. And then he's got this really nice kind of mustardy and kind of camouflage sort of colours on his outfit as well. And then there's like a hint of orange as well. So very kind of earthy colours for his outfit. And of course he's got his top knot and looks really cool, and he's got like that huge beard that he's got going on, or goatee, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, and just the design of his kind of throne looks really intriguing as well. There's not a lot to talk about in this photo, but yeah, that's really cool. And then finally, as I said, his sister is here as well. Now she's in this kind of regal looking outfit, kind of how you would, normally associate in the past, in the Victorian times, the Victorian kind of outfits. It has that kind of feel to it. So I'd say they took a bit of inspiration from that particular time period. I'll put a photo up of that so you can see what I mean. It might not be the Victorian times, and I could be completely stating the wrong time period, and it might be Tudor times, but it could be a combination of both. But yeah, those are the 4 photos. Like I said, the real 2 interesting ones were of course that of Min and Lews Therin, and I spent a lot more time on them because there's a lot more to kind of take away from the images themselves other than these other 2 images. So yeah, that is this particular video, guys. Once again, thank you all for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please of course leave a like on this video, and any comments you have on the photos or my artwork leave in the comment section down below. Right everyone, I will catch you all a little bit later tonight when I will be releasing kind of the spoilers for episodes 7 and 8 that we got in the BBFC classification of these episodes. And I have to say, warning, they're very spoilery. Alright guys, I'll catch you later tonight.